Hello, welcome to The Natural View. I'm Maggie Jacqua, editor of WholeFoods magazine, and my co-host is Todd Pallai of 24 Stories. Hi, Todd.
Hey, Maggie, how are you?
I'm good. Today we have three guests, and we're here to talk about a new innovation in the natural space called ELI codes. I want to welcome David Williams. He's the EVP of Business Development at Cornerstone Natural. And we also have Jim Stolze. He's the Senior Account Executive at Cornerstone. And we're also joined by my publisher, Heather Wainer, publisher of WholeFoods magazine. Welcome all.
Hi, welcome. Thank you.
We are happy to have you here. So ELI codes are really creating some buzz, and we want to fill everybody in. They've probably already started to see this, but Jim, can you just start out by telling us what ELI codes are and how people interact with them?
Sure, absolutely. Well, ELI codes are our patented version, intellectual property of a QR code, right? QR codes have been around since the 90s. We have just developed a better way to use them. We are the world's first content management system for QR codes. And really what that means for us is traditionally a QR code, you scan it, it goes to one place. It's going to go to a website or it's going to go to somebody's V card. With ours, it's unlimited. I can have multiple things, whether it's web, video, audio files, files to download, marketing materials, contact forms, and you can change it whenever you want to. So, once you have a QR code printed, especially if you're putting it on a package, it's hard to change with a traditional one. With ours, you never change that code. You go into our backend system and you just change the content you want and link to it. So whether you're doing it for promotions, education, whatever the point is, whenever somebody scans it, as far as a supplier or an advertiser, you're going to take that person exactly where you want them to go, present the information you want them to see. But what's more importantly, it's at the time they want to see it, right? I like to put it this way. We are helping bring print to life.
That's great. And I understand, as we've gone through COVID the last several months, they've become a little more prominent. And I'm wondering, David, can you tell me a little bit about how that's worked out for brands and for retailers and what that means as far as navigating the aisles a little bit differently during the pandemic?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny because, COVID brought touchless to life, right? I mean, the minute it happened, everyone was, we're afraid to touch things. So QR codes and ELI codes became a lot more popular because people were suddenly trying to figure out how to not touch things. And, there's a funny story I like to tell. Early on in the pandemic, my wife and I were doing some shopping. It was a really weird time. Our youngest daughter was in the hospital. And of course, at the time, you couldn't be in the hospital with them. You couldn't visit. Heck, making a phone call was virtually impossible. So I was waiting for a phone call from her doc, and we were trying to burn off some nervous energy by doing a little shopping. And I'm thinking, okay, I need to wait for a phone call. So I want to make sure my hands are clean at all times walking through the store, because when that cell phone rings, I want to be able to answer it. A call from the doc, of course. And as I'm looking around, I'm noticing shoppers in the store picking up products, looking at the back, reading the labels, putting them down, picking up the next item, doing it over and over. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, you want to see a super spreader event? Go to a store. People read ingredients. Our industry, we all love ingredients, right? We care certifications and what's in it and all that kind of stuff. And now we're actually hurting ourselves. So we came up with a concept of actually putting QR codes on shelf tags so that shoppers could walk by and just scan a code, scan the code, and now they could see ingredients, certifications, things like that. And this idea took off because, while retailers were worried about sanitizing pin pads, they were kind of missing the biggest opportunity to help, which is stop touching products until you want them. So, and if you look around, you're seeing it more and more, and it's being tied into contactless payments and so forth. So that's kind of how it came to be, and it has really caught on, and it's been really cool to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's interesting to see it start to show up. What kind of feedback, James or David, whoever wants to take this, what kind of feedback are you getting from the retailers who are starting to implement this?
I'll jump in, Jim. Feel free to jump in as well. From a retail standpoint, when we brought this idea to the retailers, they got very excited about it. And one of the big feedback items I'm hearing is the comments their customers are making on their Facebook pages commending them for doing this. I mean, that was the first bit of feedback we got. One retailer told me, he said, David, if nobody ever scans a tag, and we know that's not going to be the case, but if no one ever scans a tag, we're heroes because we did something no one else did to help protect our customers. So we're seeing very positive feedback there. And then what I'm hearing from suppliers is, how do you get more and more retailers to do this? This is the wave of the future. How do we get more retailers to do that? And hopefully this is one way to do it.
So for retailers who are interested, what is the step for them? How reaching out to you, and how does that work for them?
I guess the easiest way would just be to reach out to us at, I don't want to overly promote, but cornerstone1.com, cornerstone, the number 1.com. Just reach out to us. It's the easiest way. We'd be happy to walk you through it. Super easy to do. And, you know, the positive feedback makes it worth the effort.
Yeah, it's such an opportunity to go beyond and show consumers how you're really thinking the whole thing through with their experience. So, you know, as a consumer, I appreciate it. And I've also been having a lot of fun with it on the publishing side, which is the next point we'll talk about. So Heather came to us over the summer, the whole edit team at Whole Foods, and she told us about ELI codes, and you have to check this out, that you got to talk to these guys. This is really cool thing that they have going on, a great innovation happening. So she was jazzed, and she, you know, she showed us, and, you know, now we're scanning everything. And Whole Foods has now partnered with Cornerstone for Natural to bring these codes to our readers. So Heather, tell us about what our readers will start seeing, starting with our January issue.
Sure, Maggie. So yes, we've been very excited and it's been fun. Our January issue will start having some ELI codes in there. You will see a lot for Whole Foods magazine. We've already set up ones where your subscription, you could do a subscription through scanning a code. You can get advertising information for our manufacturers by scanning a code. You can also get information on our virtual events, the Naturally Informed virtual events, by scanning a code as well. And you'll see these throughout the magazine, and we are giving you examples and instructions and all these ways to make your life very easy. On the other hand, you will start seeing them in ads. Some customers are still using QR codes where we are trying to convert them, but others are starting to put the ELI codes in their ad, and you will see that. And the difference is that you know, it's not just going to a website. It'll go to this landing page where it could be a video, or it could be a whole list of opportunities that they want. Like, for instance, if you hit ours, the subscription one. If you hit ours, you'll see that you can sign up for a subscription. You can sign up for our e-newsletters. You can get information on Naturally Informed, or you can just find out more about us. So basically, throughout the magazine, you will see these codes, and we are giving you directions, and we're, you know, full training to use them, and basically start scanning. Just open your camera and start scanning, and you will get lots of information. And it's more. Basically, the other reason is that things like this take pages to do. This is a way of having pages in one single little box. So it's,
and as
cool.
Jim said earlier, like, it brings your ad, your print ad, or your information to life, and it really does. It's very cool where you open up. We have Child Life in the January issue has it, and you scan right over with your phone. You just hold your phone up, and now you find all this additional information and education and ways to connect, which is just fantastic, especially. And maybe, Jim, you can talk about this. I mean, we're still in these COVID times. We're not able to, you know, attend all the trade shows and in-person events and meetings that we want to. And this is a way to really keep the exchange of information going.
You know, it really is. And QR codes have been around for a long time, like I said earlier, since '94. Really, we're just coming into the time where they're taking off because it makes sense. Technology, data, internet, phones, everything is the perfect time for convergence for these. It makes sharing communication instant. As Heather said, you know, if I want to share as much information as far as education, new products, video content, et cetera, in a print ad, I would have to buy 8 pages worth of print ads. I mean, I really would. Now I can still get my same branding message out, but somebody just takes out their phone, like Heather said, you open your camera, you get a pop-up, poof, you're seeing everything that I could possibly share and want to share and make sense that's relevant at that moment in time that code is scanned. And if I want to change that message tomorrow, The print ad is still viable and is still there, but I can change the message whenever I want to. So it's really just, it's making communication just operate at the speed of light. I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because, when you say the timing is right for this, I mean, it really all did come together in the sense that, I used to be on the brand side, and back when QR codes were first introduced, you have to download a separate app. You've got to count like what percentage of people are going to look at your print ad and then let alone go, oh, I'm going to download this thing to learn more. I mean, it's very few. Now that it's amazing, fast forward several years, and then especially during COVID, now you go to an outdoor restaurant and you see everyone pulling up a menu. It's just second nature. And a lot of that has to do with the phone technology coming around too, to making it so much easier. So now that you've had this broad acceptance, from everyone, how to use it, it's no longer a burden. And then we look past the pandemic into hopefully, second half of 2021 here, and things get back to normal. What opportunities do you guys see carrying this forward now that it's just this common tool? You have so much more, I imagine, you can do with it.
Boy, Dave, we could talk for hours. I know we don't have the time here. I'll be very brief, and then I want Dave to talk in on the product side. But, you talk about the adoption, the integration is so prevalent now, right? The United States finally caught up with Asia and Europe on the adoption of QR codes. What can't you use it for? I mean, that's just the reality. When it comes to anything in print, we make analog print, we convert it to digital. I mean, that's the simplest thing I can say. So what message do you want to communicate? And it's just through that little, behind me, right on the board, it's just that little square the size of a stamp can just open up the digital world, whether it's brand information, education, and then Dave can speak how we've integrated with the product level.
Yeah, I call it's all about digital activation, right? That's the world we're living in now. It's what companies are trying to figure out, how to digitally activate their customers. So whether you're in a magazine, whether it's a newspaper, whether it's a product on a shelf, whether it's a shelf tag, especially our industry. Just think about this for a second. We are in an industry of attributes, all right? That's what sets our products apart. And then we're very limited on how many attributes we can actually convey and what attributes are important, right? Most of us, when we were growing up, there were 2 food tribes, right? Regular and diet. Now there's hundreds, right? So how do you keep up with that and put it all out there and make it available to people who want it? So on the retail side, a lot of us shop e-commerce. Part of it's because it's convenient, but another big part of it is we can look at a lot of content. I'm doing some Christmas shopping. I can look at reviews. I can look really in depth at products, which I can't necessarily do going to all the different stores. I think the same will hold true for our retail environment, where shoppers will want to be able to get the attributes, have a digital shopping experience in the store. Now, you want to know where the future is going? How about if I walk down an aisle, find an item I like, I buy it in the store, but then I hit a button and then that store automatically ships it to me every month, right? So now stores can actually compete, brick and mortar with online, but not having to see all that market share go to, the big Amazons of the world, but actually compete at the small brick and mortar level. So, there are so many things that we can bring to that with couponing and so forth, but I know my time is limited, and any minute I'm going to get a hook pulling me off here. So.
No. In fact, I think what you're brushing up against is just one of these big problems that retailers have faced as online has become more prominent. And, you can see all kinds of connections to bringing, making that store aisle a little more sticky in terms of keeping people in the shopping experience, but still giving them that wealth of information they might go home and research. So that's amazing.
Absolutely. And any information that's helping us to educate the natural products retailer and how they can compete with Amazon, go for it.
Think about this. One of the big problems for years has been what they call it showrooming, right? Where people go in the store, look at a product, then go buy it online. Mm-hmm. We think ELI codes actually reverse that. Now you can go in a store, look at content you want online, but not pull that person out of the store, because now they can get that information in real time while they're in the aisle.
Well, and that's such a good point, because we hear that. That's a complaint we hear so often from retailers. And obviously we're here to help these people gain that business back. Absolutely. And educate them. So I love that you're giving them this opportunity to keep them in the store and keep it in brick and mortar.
Yeah.
On top of that, Heather, I mean, think about this. Without the ELI codes in the store level, let's say I do want to do research while I'm in the store. What am I hitting? I'm opening up my phone. I'm hitting Google.
Mhm.
What's one of the top things I'm going to see in Google if it's available online?
Uh-huh.
So when I get my education in a store from a competitor where ELI codes, you're going directly to that supplier's information, making that decision to purchase right then and there.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's
great.
no, definitely. And then obviously it does transfer over to print really nicely. And I just love, I mean, I could say that line all day, Jim, that it brings your print to life, because that's exactly what it does. And not that, I mean, hey, if anyone wants to buy 8 pages from us, we're not going to turn them away. But we know budgets are limited, and we want to extend those dollars for people. And it does also bridge the print to print to digital. And and that's where we've been trying to surround customers, and definitely have, like, people will do print, an integrated approach is really how you do reach a customer, and that's what we do as well. But this is a way to make that happen. And then it also gets that little AI, opportunity there too, which some people have also said, is this AI? So everybody wants to be a techie and go forward with the future as well. So some cool things for sure.
I think there's tons of opportunity too. If you think about ingredient suppliers, working through brands down to retail in terms of talking about transparency, talking about supply chain issues. I mean, everyone wants to address those. I think it sometimes becomes hard on shelf if you're trying to put things on a pack, that people notice. Think about the stories you can tell and the legitimacy of the supply chain you can explain in a moment's notice using.
Absolutely.
So,
I mean, it just makes everything transparent. You can have a whole story right there.
Yeah.
It just helps you get more information out there without spending as much money and time. I mean, because you also take the chance that if you run an ad, maybe they're not going to see the others, and here it is all in one spot.
Yeah. Well, nice job, guys. You kind of came up with something cool. So
We agree. Thank you.
Is there anything else you want to add before we part ways?
I just want to say we are very excited to be working with Heather and you all as we go forward. I mean, we really do. We have a passion for what we do. We have certainly a passion for the natural product space. And wow, to be working with you guys directly and getting that word out, we're just thrilled, and we're looking forward to a strong, tight partnership going forward. So thank you.
Excellent. And as things develop, keep us informed, and we'll keep educating the industry and from the suppliers to the brands to the retailers, and get the word out about what's going on. So thank you very much, all of you, for taking the time and filling us in. And that's it for this episode of The Natural View.